What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today, guys, is an awesome day. An awesome day. Because I'm bringing back the Gears cast amongst a number of things, and I'm really excited to kind of share what's going on. Oh, by the way, welcome to my new setup, guys. It is I've moved into our new home, which I'm super excited about. Like really excited about. We're still trying to get things kind of fully moved in. So I wanted to give you guys that update as well. But yeah, man, gosh, what a journey it has been up to this point in time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Welcome to the Gears Cast, the best Gears of War podcast here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about this episode here today. Let's get into it. Lots happened over the course of the last, gosh, it's felt like it's felt like a little while here, and I have not forgotten about all of you. I have been, it's been a lot of things, moving parts behind the scenes, which I'm excited. I've got a lot of announcements in the future for the Twitch channel, for the YouTube channel. There's a lot of content that you guys will be able to take in, and I'm really excited about that. The Gears Cast, guys, for those of you who don't know, you guys can check out all of my previous Gears Cast content on the YouTube channel. We've done a number of episodes up to this point, and now we're going to continue going, full steam ahead into creating Gears of War content for the future. Gears of War, guys, is in a very interesting place at this current point in time. I would say, we talked about this. I've talked about this on previous Gears casts, but, one of the things that's really kind of coming up repeatedly is that Gears of War is in a limbo state, essentially in this very, stale point in Gears of War history. Typically, we would have had a Gears of War game at this point in time. And obviously, we're going to be talking about a number of the topics here tonight that we're going to be talking about are going to be a lot of in relation to the future of Gears of War and what that could look like. And we've gotten some further information about things. Like I said, I've shared a lot of Gears of War content on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out all of that content. But the first and foremost, the major thing that I want to mention is that the Gears Cast is back. And that is really exciting to me. I think it's important to kind of give all of you guys and girls out there some context on just where this has gone and where we are currently, because then we can really start to talk about like the future of this thing, right? So the Gears Cast, guys, I started this show 2 years ago, and the last Gears of War, or the last Gears Cast, was over a year ago. I brought out the Gears Cast 2 years ago, and the last one I brought out was a whole year ago. And that's crazy to me. Like, it's actually crazy when I really think about it. A whole year ago, it was when this actually came out. I mean, it's actually quite stunning to me that it was that long ago. But I say all of that to say that it's back. Why is the Gears Cast back? I'm sure a lot of people are thinking to themselves, why is Zero bringing back the Gears Cast right now? I mean, they didn't announce, Gears 6 yet. They didn't announce a Gears of War collection or a Marcus Phoenix collection. Why is he right now bringing it back? And the reason is, guys, is, when I first originally started the Gears Cast a couple of years ago, my idea behind it was more having some content that the community could take in while we were waiting for another Gears of War release, or just Gears of War content in general. Because when we talk about Gears of War content, there are content creators that create Gears content on a relatively consistent basis. But it's not nearly as many people are doing that as there are, say, doing Call of Duty content or other games, right? Valorant to CSGO to, the list goes on, right? And I believe that it's very important that the Gears Cast continues on my YouTube channel for the long withstanding future, because Gears of War, guys, has been a game very close to my heart. I talk about this all the time, but it is true that my big three for the longest time has been Gears of War, Call of Duty, and StarCraft. In terms of games that have really just changed my life in a number of ways. 3 games, totally different. 2 of them are a shooter, one's a strategy game. But the 2 shooters, one's a third person, one's a first person. And then RTS, real-time strategy, right? And StarCraft obviously needs to get their act together, because at some point or another, that third spot may be taken off of my big 3, because it's not as big as it once was. And I feel like it really needs to, they need to make some significant changes and create another StarCraft game amongst a number of things. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. What I want to talk about is why Gears of War, it's such a special title to me, and I want to see it continue. And I believe that we were on such a great trajectory when you could really even say, the Ultimate Edition came out, when the Coalition kind of, starts Ultimate Edition, that goes into Gears of War 4. I thought we were on such a rapid pace of growth, right? Maybe it was too quick. Maybe it was, maybe we were putting money in the wrong places. It's hard to say exactly. I do think that we were putting too much money into the esports side of things, maybe too quickly, in terms of player salaries, so on and so forth. The players weren't creating much content, and they're just, like I said, it's one of those titles that needs to be built from a content perspective, similar to that of Call of Duty, similar to that of some of these other games that are being built right now. And so I felt that it was very important, though, for me to continue creating content in the Gears of War, in the Gears of War universe. And that, of course, starts here with the Gears Cast, starting this a couple of years ago, and, now bringing it back, almost, a little bit over a year later. Like I said, it was July of 2022 was the last Gears Cast I brought out. And since then, we have not heard much of anything in terms of a new Gears of War title. We have not, there's been some rumors, some things are coming out slowly but surely, and we're going to be talking about that here on the Gears Cast tonight. But overall, it's been really, really quiet, from the Gears of War. Not just the community's talking, but it's more the Coalition. It's been definitely taking some time for us to hear some more information. So, with that being said, guys, those are some reasons why I brought the Gears Cast back, is because my just passion for Gears of War and for wanting to see this game, this franchise continue for a very, very long time. And so I want to do my part. Like I said, there are others out there that are doing their part. I want to do my part, and I want to hopefully get others to do their part in trying to continue building Gears of War, so that when it comes back, we know it's going to come back at some point. It's too big of an IP for it to not come back. But when it does, if we have the right people in the right places, and we have the right, a number of content creators creating content around this title and this franchise, it's going to continue growing in a major way, not only from a fan base perspective, from a viewership perspective, like on Twitch and on YouTube, and then that seeps into growing that, hopefully, that esports scene once again. So with that, guys, the Gears Cast is back. I'm happy for it to be back, and I can't wait to see where we can take this thing in the future. Now, I've been talking a lot about Gear 6, and I've been talking a lot about, on the YouTube channel here in the past, I've been talking a lot about, some of the things that we know at different points in time. It's taken so long for us to hear an announcement of a new Gears of War title, really hear much. We had a tech demo that came out from the Coalition, but that even feels like that was ages ago. So let's talk about, like, let's kind of update that resume in terms of what is it that we know so far about Gears 6, Gears of War 6, which is what I believe it should be called. What do we know about it at this point in time? Let's talk about it. So this is a article coming to us from Gen X. Gears of War 6 release date, speculation, news, leaks, story, and more. And this is coming to us, guys, from Shane Musa and Wessel Mini of Gen X. Okay? So ever since the release of Gears 5 back in 2019, fans have gained more and more anticipation for a new entry into the third-person shooter classic. So when will Gears of War 6 be released? I love how they say Gears of War 6 and not Gear 6. I love this. What can we expect to see from it based on leaks, and what new story will this new title be focused on? So here we go. Here's what we're talking about in terms of like speculation and things of that nature. So at the time of the writing, there is no official confirmed release date for Gears of War 6. But in this article, you'll find all information that the developer shared, as well as some speculation from Gen X on when we could see it launch. Gears of War 6, known as Gears 6, hasn't been officially announced by either the developers, that being the Coalition, or the publisher, Xbox Game Studios. But thanks to the release cycle of previous Gears titles, we have some ideas about when we might see it. So obviously, the developers would normally wait 2 to 3 years between releases, and we're now approaching over 3 years at this point in time, guys, because, you know, Gears 5 came out back in 2019. So it definitely looks like it's going to be certainly a longer period of time, you know, between the games here, right? Back in 2021, the Coalition published a new blog post announcing the studio's transition to Unreal Engine 5, because transitioning to a new engine is a significant undertaking. We want to be clear that we will not be announcing any new projects or titles for some time, the studio said. And that was back in 2021. So when they say this, guys, at least what comes to my mind, back in 2021, I was thinking that we would get an announcement this year, like 2023 or so, of Gears 6, of its existence, but we wouldn't see it probably for another couple of years, you know, another year or 2 years. My mindset was, well, maybe they're going to release it in 25, and in 2024 they do a Master Chief collection or not Marcus Phoenix collection. Master Chief collection, I'm thinking of Halo, obviously, but a Marcus Phoenix collection, or, you know, something of that nature to come out maybe in between, like in 2024, and then 2025, you know, you've built a lot of hype for the new title, Gears of War 6. This could mean that we have to wait a few more years before we see Gear 6. And if we had to guess, a new game is still a few years away. So, I think if all goes well, the Coalition will release Gear 6 in 2024 or 2025. And I think that it's probably relatively safe to say 2024, 2025 makes some sense, at least in my mind. Probably not 2024, though. Probably 2025. They're going to want to make sure that they really build this, anticipation, excitement out. Unless they announced it here in 2023, like the end of the year, like in October or somewhere in that area for 2024, that could be something we may see. I think it's probably more reasonable to expect we'll get an announcement now 2024, maybe at like an Xbox Game Showcase, or maybe fall of 2024, and then it releases fall of 2025. That may be what we're looking at this point. So in terms of leaks, guys, although there aren't any official leaks for Gear 6 at the moment, we do have some speculation about what we can expect. The game will likely stick to the third-person action game and cover shooter mechanics that have made the series famous. However, chances are high that the developers might want to change up the formula slightly and freshen the experience for new and seasoned players. Perhaps Gear 6 might lean more into the open-world RPG mechanics introduced in Gears 5, though perhaps with the tighter focus. And you know what? I really do agree with this. And the reason being is because even though I'm not a massive fan of open worlds, I think that Gears 5 kind of showed us, they teased the open world scenario where, I think one of the awesome things about open world experiences is it brings you back to the experience over and over again. You might beat the campaign one time, but if it's an open world and, it's like the world that is in there is your sandbox and you can do whatever you want between, side missions to, just a customization things that you can earn in the campaign that you can later show off in multiplayer. Having all of that there's something to be said for it. So I would love to see a full open world here in Gear 6. My only mindset, though, that, I say that to also say that what concerns me about a full open world is that we still get something similar to Gears 5, where Gears 5 was such a bright game and colorful and the graphics were incredible. And that was something that I loved about Gears 5. But one of the problems I felt, though, was it also hindered it at the same time. It felt not as gritty, not as dark as the original trilogy. And I think that maybe we're going to be getting more of that here in Gear 6. That's what my hope is. And if we're going to go back to that gritty feel, I would prefer actually to have a more linear story where it's not so open world, because I feel that the replay value, or you coming back to the experience over and over again, is going to be within the multiplayer, the horde mode, any other, co-op modes that they create. And so if you're going to go the same route as Gears 5, where, you get semi-open world and you want to go full open world, I would do that. But in my mind, I would love to see them go more, kind of what made the series so great in the first place, that dark, gritty kind of feel. That's what I would personally prefer. But I could totally see them doing this, and that's probably why it's maybe taking them more time to create the title, because they're making it the biggest Gears of War game ever made. So I think that's definitely something that could be reasonable to expect. Although at the end of the day, these ideas are all speculation and don't reflect the actual gameplay experience as it will be released. So for now, we'll simply need to wait until the Coalition releases official information regarding Gear 6. Now, the big question is, of course, for a lot of people also going to be the story of Gears of War 6. What's this going to be? What can we expect here? Well, despite being a sequel to Gears of War 4, Gears 5 took the unusual step of pivoting away from the game's main character. The main story of Gears 4 revolved around JD Phoenix, the son of Marcus Phoenix. However, in Gears 5, the focus shifts to Kate Diaz, a prominent side character from Gears 4, who accompanies JD. At the end of Gears 5, Kate must decide whether to save JD or Del Walker. Reyna, Kate's mother, then kills whoever she doesn't choose to save. Although it's unclear which death is accepted as canon, we do not doubt that Gear 6 will carry on Kate's quest to find her mother, Reyna, the Queen of the Swarm. This is a super interesting talking point in my mind. And you want to know why? Because for a couple of reasons. The first one is I thought that it was a terrible... I did not like that the Coalition went away from JD so quickly. See, I have nothing against Kate Diaz. I think Kate Diaz is absolutely awesome. I think she's a great character. But when you have Gears of War 4, we're building, they did it right, in my opinion, where they said, okay, we're going to let go of the past with Marcus, and now it's his son that's taking over. And I thought that narrative was amazing. But when they then switched over in Gears 5 to Kate Diaz, not that it's it's terrible to play as her. It's just, not only did you start playing as Kate Diaz so quickly from, JD when he was playing the playable character in Gears of War 4, but on top of that, they made JD seem like a douchebag in Gears 5. He just didn't feel even like a main character at all. He felt more definitely a side character, kind of like a Baird style. He's kind of going that direction in terms of his character. And then to top it all off, at the end of the game, you choose between one or the other, JD or Del, who you're going to kill. It's going to be interesting to see what's canon there. But I personally did not like that. And, with JD, I would have loved to have played as that character a couple more games. Moving over to Kate would be great, in the future. I just don't think it was built there yet. And that's one thing that I had a hard time with that. And the other thing was, what's going to be canon here is the choice that you decide personally on your Xbox console in Gears 5. Is that going to relay over to Gears 6? That would be very interesting to see what they do there in terms of, is JD the one that actually, died, or is it Dell, or are both of them somehow alive? It's going to be really interesting to say the least. Although there are two possible outcomes for the Coalition, we wouldn't rule out the possibility that Marcus Phoenix will return to the lead role if the creative team decides to make JD's demise canon. There's undoubtedly something to be said about piquing the fan interest in the franchise by having Marcus reprise his role as the protagonist as a furious elderly father out of vengeance. I love this. I love this concept. I love that, hey, could we possibly go back to playing as Marcus? I love it. But once again, I don't and I know we can't change the past here, guys, in terms of the Coalition can't change the past. They decided what to do with Gears of War, with what they did. It would have been really fascinating to me to play as JD Phoenix in Gears 5, and near the end of the game, you as the character are killed. Like Kate has to decide to kill you or whatever, and save Dell or something of that nature. And then your character dies in it. And then in Gears 6, you end up playing as Marcus, as a, crazy, losing his mind that he lost his son. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. And then reprising that role as him would have just been such an interesting turn of events. And they could go so many different directions with this, obviously, guys. But in my mind, I would have loved to have seen that more than what we got in Gears 5, personally. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. Maybe the Coalition has a number of tricks up their sleeve, and they're going to crush this thing. I really hope they do. But with that being said, guys, in terms of multiplayer, co-op modes, esports, I mean, the list goes on and on. What can we expect, there? Well, really all of that, guys, and all of this is all speculation at this current juncture in time. I think that, in my mind, the way I'm thinking about it is, if you want to have the ultimate Gears of War experience to really bring back this franchise to the forefront, you need to go back to that dark, gritty style that you had back in the original trilogy. Because Gears of War 3, in my mind, is the greatest Gears of War game ever made. I believe it's one of the top 5 greatest games ever made, ever. I absolutely love that game. Just because of all the things, from customization to coming back to the experience over and over again, whether it was Horde mode, whether it was, the campaign, whether it was going for different achievements or different, just the list goes on and on. The multiplayer experience, it was so incredible. That is if you had, the blueprint is right there. And I'm not saying to just copy and paste, but I'm saying that with Gears of War 3, I thought that was something really special. I'll also tell you that Gears of War 4, in my mind, even though I didn't think it was as good as Gears of War 3, I thought they were really onto something with Gears of War 4. It felt like we were really ramping something up that was going to be really special. And that's why I think the anticipation for Gears 5 was so high. And then, obviously it's not even being serviced now. So you can see kind of where we've gone, from one extreme to the other. And that's why I think the Coalition's taken their time here. And I'm totally okay with that. I want them to take their time here and to create something that is going to, last and going to build us moving forward. I just want them to make this game the best game possible. Not focus on this game for a year and then it's okay, now we're going to move on to Gears 7. Do I want a Gears of War 6 and a Gears of War 7? Absolutely. But I just want them to crush Gears of War 6 so that we can get a Gears of War 7 somewhere down the road. It doesn't have to happen right away, right? This isn't Call of Duty. I just want them to create an incredible experience with Gears of War 6, build the community, bring, like certain elements from the old games back, right? And start to build this thing, right? I would love to see them bring back Beast Mode. The Gears esports scene, I think it's one of the most fascinating esports in the world. It's like the WWE of esports, in my opinion. And I would love to see it continue. Like, I really want to see that continue as well. But I just don't think you can even think about it until you build a solid foundation once again and bring in a lot of people. And then you slowly build into the esports scene once again. But let me know, guys, what do you think in terms of Gears 6? The things that we know so far, what are you hoping to see here? Let me know. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Gears of War 6 content and videos, stay here with zrotv. Let's talk about Gears esports. It's interesting to me because I believe Gears esports is one of the greatest esports in the world to watch. I felt that Escalation was one of the best, new game modes ever brought out to esports, and really just to a game in general. I thought when that was released in Gears of War 4, I was blown away. I was so excited to play Escalation. I kind of didn't, when you talk about, okay, we're trying to build a fan base around esports. We're trying to build a community here, people who can watch the game. When you have new viewers, Escalation and Execution, I think, are incredible. I will say this, though. Even though I love Escalation, I believe it's one of the best game modes, new game modes that was ever added to a third-person shooter for esports or just competitive play. Execution's easier to follow. It's easy to understand. And it's always been a thought of mine with esports, even though I'm a massive esports fan, I always felt that the simple things are what really go so far. Think of CSGO. It hasn't changed, right? It's the same thing over and over again. It's like an S&D kind of style. Search and destroy. I always thought that Call of Duty should have just been search and destroy, like with all the different strategies you would see. I just thought that would be awesome. But obviously they've added, all kinds of hard point. They've added all different types of different game modes into Call of Duty. And Gears of War has started to kind of do this as well. Not as much as maybe, Halo or Call of Duty, but I just felt that Execution just was something that made a lot of sense. It was very easy to understand. You get one life, it's like round by round, and power weapons on the map. It's perfect in my mind. Escalation kind of took it to another level where it was a little bit more difficult to understand for a brand new viewer. Not like super complicated, obviously, like Overwatch or something, but it's still, I've always been wondering, how many people did we lose because Escalation was added into esports, into Gears esports? I've wondered that. And so that being said, I'm not going to say that Escalation is even close, remotely responsible for the demise of Gears esports. The demise of Gears esports has been something that, in my mind, is a trickle-down effect of not what's going on right now in esports, because Gears esports, by the way, the account for Gears esports became dormant July 15th of 2022. So that, we're talking a while ago, guys. I mean, this is over a year ago that Gears esports has been dormant. So let's talk about this for a moment. The last thing that Gears esports said to all of us was, thanks for the memories. This account is now dormant. Stay connected for the latest news and updates through Gears of War on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay. That all aside, like I said, July 15th, 2022 is the last time that they tweeted. The account's been dormant since. Is it going to come back? I believe it will come back at some point or another. They were talking about deleting the Twitter account, which I thought was the most, like, the craziest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. It was completely asinine, asinine. You're going to go ahead and you're going to delete the Gears Esports or deactivate the Twitter account. I mean, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me because, what if you come back to it at some point? It's 145,000 followers on there. It just didn't make any sense to me. But that being said, Gears Esports needs to continue. Will it continue, though, with Gears 6, Gears of War 6, whatever the next title is? And I believe it will, but I will also say this about that. Even though I want it to continue, I think that it should not launch even remotely, like, close to when the game launches. I think that the game needs to launch, service the game, any bugs, glitches, things of that nature, crush it before it becomes an issue. Make sure the game is in a really stable place. Start putting some tournaments out there, right? Some, ranked play, things of that nature. And as time goes, 6 months, a year goes by, you announce Gears Esports. You got to build it again from the ground up, in my opinion. The problem is that Gears Esports, it grew, and as it was growing, the teams were going, it started to, the economics behind it didn't make sense. Players were getting paid way too much money in terms of salary, and they weren't bringing enough to the table. It wasn't like they were bringing more, tons more eyeballs to the, to the screens for people to watch the Gears Esports. It was more the organizations, the orgs that were coming in that were bringing in views, right? The players, though, need to create their own, themselves as personalities. Now, definitely, guys, I'm not going to say that there's nobody in the Gears Esports scene that we're not growing in popularity, right? Explosive, one of, like, the winningest, Gears players of all time. Mental, all these guys that were on, Optic, which is what they were pretty much best known for, was when they were on Optic, they crushed it. And I mean, they were dominant in Gears of War, but the problem was that they're getting paid, you're getting paid, these big salaries, and then the esports not growing, right? And my mindset is that it's because, sure, the coalition's not updating things, right? But it's also that the players and then other people within the community aren't creating content. They're not bringing people back. They're not creating viewership, right? And so, like I had mentioned, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to continue bringing out Gears of War content, because, every number, every view, everything counts in this thing. It all matters when we talk about building a scene, when we're talking about building, or at this point, rebuilding a scene in the form of Gears of War. So with Gears Esports, I don't think that it can come out right when the game launches. It's got to be a little while, right? They can certainly have plans to bring it back, but and I know that there's going to be this talk of them wanting to strike while the iron's hot, and I totally get that. But if you don't build it from a foundational perspective, we're going to be right back into the same exact scenario. It could be even worse, though. You start having Microsoft and the coalition dump money into Gears Esports, and then let's just say it fails again because the coalition's taking on too much. They're focusing on Gears Esports. They're focusing on this and that and the other thing. This is a significant issue that I believe you need to take your time. Like, this is something where it's going to be a slow growth kind of thing to rebuild that trust and everything else for the Gears of War community. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Will Gears Esports continue into the future? What do you guys think? Let me know. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Gears Esports content and videos, stay here with zrotv. The Coalition it's a fascinating team. I can't, like I said, I love this team over there, and I want nothing but the absolute best for the company, and I want to do whatever I can to help grow this scene, and to grow Gears of War. one of the things that got me very excited was some of the new things that we're seeing from the Coalition's website. Coalition's website got updated. And so let's talk about that. Because on their new website says, obviously you got the Coalition, and then scroll down a little bit and it says Gears of War. So Gears of War, the Coalition is a flagship first-party studio within Xbox Game Studios and the home to one of gaming's most critically and commercially acclaimed series, Gears of War. Through our universe's stories, we strive to create deep emotional experiences that are best when shared. With over 50 million unique users, Gears of War has one of gaming's most passionate fan bases. Crazy to think, 50 million, it's such a huge number. And we have only scratched, not even the surface, man, of that number. The potential of Gears of War, guys, is it could be one of the biggest games in the world. I mean, it literally could be one of the biggest games in the world. Part of the issue is going to be obviously that it's only on Xbox, but still, like, you're talking 50 million. It's like, yeah, sure, you got PC, you got Xbox, but like, I mean, that's a huge number. So we're really only tapping into a portion, a percentage of just the that untapped potential that's out there. It really gives me a lot of excitement for the future. So who we are, we live our namesake. The Coalition is a group of diverse and talented individuals working together for a common purpose. We do everything with grit and passion. We are a big studio with the heart and hunger of a small team. Everything I love hearing, for sure. They are leaders in Unreal Engine. So the Coalition has always been on the forefront of Unreal Engine development. We are one of the world's leading studios pushing the limits of available technology to build next generation experiences in Unreal Engine 5. So obviously we know the Cavern Tech demo, which was absolutely awesome. Almost felt like it gave us a sneak peek of some, maybe a character or two, creature or two from Gears of War 6. But obviously, them switching to Unreal Engine 5 has changed things in terms of how long it's going to take for these games to come out, right? So they also have got here that there's a pledge to never fight alone. I love this, guys. Our purpose has always been to create stories about belonging, which is why we've made a multi-year commitment to donate 1% of net revenue from all Gears of War games and merch to organizations working to prevent suicide and combat loneliness. We are proud to partner with Crisis Text Line, like I had mentioned. I love that they're a part of this. And then as you scroll further down, careers at the Coalition. So ready to join us, check out our open roles. Now, if you go ahead and you click on this, it's going to bring up a bunch of things in art, design, engineering, production, so on and so forth. Now, one of the things, I started clicking around to some of these jobs. And what's really interesting is if you click on, just as an example, the producer for Gears of War, or you just click on producer, it doesn't tell you what it's for, anything of that nature. But the first thing that it brings up is producer for Gears of War, the Coalition. So it's not like saying for an untitled project. It's not saying, brand new IP. It doesn't say anything of that nature. It says Gears of War. So basically everything that the Coalition is doing right now, they're all hands on deck with Gears of War. And I love this. And you can see where it says that the overview, the Coalition is a Microsoft first-party development studio located in Vancouver, Canada. We are the official home of the Gears of War franchise, and our objective is to forge the future of the IP and push the limits of Microsoft's entertainment platforms and devices. Our team is comprised of creative and technical talent from across our industry and beyond, working cohesively to delight our fan base and pass expectations of what is possible. As a studio, we lead from our values and work together to promote respect and inclusion, a growth mindset, and grit, all while putting our team first. Join us and let's go far together. So the Coalition Studio is looking for a producer to collaborate with the project team to deliver best-in-class gaming experiences for our players while hitting quality, schedule, and business targets. So basically, guys, what they're looking for is, as I mentioned, they're primarily looking for Gears of War employees right now. So the fact that they're still hiring is telling me, and some of these are from months ago, right? So they're still actively looking for these people to really get them to the finish line, you could say. But I would say that, this is exciting because they are actively working on Gears of War. Whether it's the Gears of War, collection or the Marcus Phoenix collection, we believe it's Gears of War 6 because of how much time it's taking. Obviously a remaster would be awesome, but of the original trilogy. But this is, I think all signs are telling us that the Coalition is all hands on deck on Gears of War, and it's just a matter of time until we see Gears of War 6. Like I had mentioned, probably 2024, maybe 2025. Hopefully it would be in 2023. We would get like a teaser and then a full-blown trailer and things of that nature, gameplay and all of that in 2024. But let me know, guys, what do you think? What do you guys take away from the Coalition's brand new website, all these different positions that they're hiring for? What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War 6 content and videos, stay here with zrotv. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 are alive and well at this point. At this point in time, guys, when we talk about the servers coming back online, this is going to be coming to us in an article from Game Rant and from John Benelli over there. Gears of War servers get the Call of Duty treatment. So old Xbox 360 multiplayer titles continue to enjoy revitalization as the original Gears of War sees matchmaking improvements as well. So the original Gears of War on Xbox 360 has seen new improvements to its servers, which is bringing back players in droves. The multiplayer servers and lobbies for Epic Games' Xbox 360 Gears of War trilogy have long been dormant, as newer Coalition titles like Gears of War 4 and the most recent Gears 5 have taken the Gears multiplayer community into the future. Xbox's popular third-person cover shooter franchise follows Call of Duty's recent footsteps in seeing the servers of older, long-dormant titles improved with a boost of revisiting players. Classic games like Call of Duty Black Ops, Black Ops 2, and Modern Warfare 2, among others, have been seeing player counts soar for the first time in at least a decade, thanks to efforts by Activision and Xbox to revitalize that golden age of Xbox 360 multiplayer gaming. These aged yet beloved Call of Duty titles have even jumped to the top of Xbox's sales charts in recent days as a result of the matchmaking improvements. Dude, this is crazy. Dominating newer sales, behemoths such as Diablo 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, that would be the one in 2022, and Hogwarts Legacy. Now, Xbox is extending the love to its very own first-party blockbuster gore-fest Gears of War. After well over a decade, fans of the original Gears of War's multiplayer suite can boot up the game to once again find healthily populated lobbies of players reliving the heyday of the hit 2006 third-person cover shooter. Additionally, there are some reports that the matchmaking of both Epic Games sequels Gears of War 2 and 3 have also been improved. And look, I mean, this is something that they should have done a long time ago, guys, but you know what it takes? It just sometimes takes numbers. A lot of people playing these older games for them to realize, maybe we need to maybe this is something that we need to continue. Maybe this is something that we need to revisit. And so I think that's, I love this because this tells us that there's something to be said about the original Gears of War trilogy that's very, very special and it's close to our hearts, right? And that also tells us that, and should tell companies like Xbox, the Coalition, that, hey, maybe we need to study these original games more for our new games that are coming out. Not saying that Gears of War 4, I thought Gears of War 4 was great. Ultimate Edition, awesome. Gears 5, I was a much bigger fan of it than a lot of people, but I know and I see where there's issues, and I certainly have a number of issues with it as well. It went away from a lot of that, dark, gritty feel in a major way, amongst other things. And so I think going back and revisiting this is huge because it's showing us that the numbers are spiking for, Gears 1, just the original Gears trilogy, and Microsoft is recognizing that, which means that the Coalition is as well. As the last mainline Xbox 360 era Gears title, Gears 3 has been able to maintain a slightly higher level of activity throughout the years than its two predecessors. Now that the multiplayer of all three classic Gears games seem to be up and running again, it'll be interesting to see if, like Call of Duty, the Gears trilogy will also climb up to the top of Xbox's sales charts. though the fact that all the Gears titles are readily available on Xbox Game Pass may likely dissuade many players from fully purchasing the titles outright. Coupled with the fact that the Call of Duty franchise has enjoyed decades of nonstop mainstream popularity and success, and it seems like this Gears multiplayer renaissance may not hit the sales heights of Call of Duty. And guys, look, the renaissance that we're seeing in Gears of War, the original trilogy, that really speaks that speaks volumes, I believe, for a developer, for a publisher. And so I'm incredibly excited about the future of that. And I think, that tells us that these games, that trilogy is still alive, and it's going to make the future games alive if they, kind of take some of the blueprint that they have of that success and they implement a lot of those things into these new games. They've got to update. They've got to, there's certain things that they have to evolve with, for sure, with the times. But there are some things, some core things that they need to stick with, I believe, in order to make this thing just a massive, long withstanding franchise, moving forward. And with that, guys, let me know what you guys think about, the original Gears trilogy, being able to play it, and, having this renaissance. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with zrotv. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the Gears Cast. And if you guys did, make sure that you guys leave a thumbs up. Helps me out, guys, in a massive, massive way. Subscribe if you're new. Stay positive. Just keep grinding. And as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace out.